I can at least take my hair scarf off so I don't look too boyish. My girl Tyree went live today, and I was meaning to go live, but I wanted to come outside first. I'm soaking up some sun in my backyard. When you come in, do me a favor, say hello, press the like button. We're on quarantine. I've been doing a lot of work, still doing showings, still consulting with clients, still helping people recession proof their career. But while lying in bed, I went on Twitter. And there is a hashtag. Hey, how y'all doing? There's a hashtag Chicago Scanner on Twitter. So yesterday I made a post, and I meant to go live today about it, and we're going to kind of unpack this thing a little bit, right? So the tweet I posted yesterday from Chicago Scanner, the tenant called in and said they called their landlord and told their landlord, hey Rashada, hi Renessa, so they told their landlord they were not going to pay their rent, and the landlord turned off the gas and the electricity. Now, more than likely, the landlord turned off the gas and electricity at the actual meter, because that's too soon for ComEd or People's Gas to actually turn off, right? The gas and electricity. So I posted it, and somebody was like, well, that's illegal and they could call the police. Okay, they can. The police can't make me turn back on the gas and the electricity, though. Hey Tiana, hey Tyree, girl, your video reminded me that I wanted to go live. Slightly different angle, and I just posted something. I'm like, okay, the police cannot make them turn it back on. And somebody was like, yes they can. And a woman came on that's more familiar with the courts are closed, right? So when dealing with squatters, anything like that, it's a civil matter. If someone is squatting in your property, they have rights, right? However, some of these Chicago landlords are not playing. Tyree mentioned this on her live, and I just went on Chicago Scanner and I saw it. Some of these Chicago landlords are not playing, because some of these tenants are not paying their rent because they think that Lori Lightfoot said that they don't have to pay their rent. If you have the ability to pay your rent, pay your rent. If you have the ability to pay your mortgage, pay your mortgage. If you do not have the ability, call your landlord, have a conversation with your landlord, and figure out what can be worked out with your landlord. However, y'all got to understand, some of these Chicago landlords are reformed street thugs, block boys, not saying it like that, project folk, right? I met a lady who used to teach a project management class. She's now one of the vice presidents of, it's not Seaway Bank anymore, it's another bank. She's one of the vice presidents of a bank, and she was talking to us and mentioned how she grew up in the projects, and she was hired as a property manager, and when she property managed properties, she had her cousins and her uncles or whatever, she put them on payroll. Their one job was to go get the rent money on the first of every month, right? So property managers and landlords in Chicago really don't play, period. Their job was to go get her money. She was a property manager working for a company. Their job was to go get her money on the first, right? And that woman is over 50 years old. Another gentleman got up there. He was 60. I was in a receivership class. He was over 50, over 60. He said around the first of the month, he would go knock on the door, pizza delivery. They open the door. I want my rent money. I want my money on the first. I don't care how you get it, I want my money, right? You pay your rent. The landlord is able to pay their mortgage, right? Let me catch up with some of these comments. Good thing my landlord is being very understanding. She said pay whenever. Serenity, and I think it's because you had a conversation with your landlord. Like, okay, I've been a landlord. My tenant, they would always, they were paying their rent on like the 6th or the 7th every month. So I had a conversation with them to figure out what was going on. The guy was paid every month on the 5th. I moved their due date back to the 8th, right? Because if the 5th was on a Sunday, he had to wait until the 6th to get his paycheck. Or if the 5th was on a Saturday, he had to wait until the next business day to get his paycheck. So landlords can be understanding. I didn't want to keep charging them a late fee. Let's figure this out. Give me a day that you're going to pay your rent. We can make it happen. So one year around Christmas, and because my tenants had been with me and they were paying their rent, his job was not paying him. And they communicated with me. He was sending me the text messages from his, company or whatever. And I understood. I've worked before where I thought my paycheck was going to come on a Friday and it didn't come. And the company is like, oh, we have you next week. What? So I understand that things happen, but it's important to communicate. I haven't seen it, but my girl Tyree did a live, and basically, no, I take that back. I did see something where, and I don't know if it's true, 32 unit building, all the tenants got together and decided they're not going to pay their rent. Okay. But some of these landlords are about that life and they not playing. So I just went on Chicago Scanner and started cracking up laughing because the first tweet I saw said, caller said the landlord is throwing their stuff out, right? And that's what Tyree just said. Tyree said, okay, threaten me. I'm showing up at your door with a moving truck, moving your stuff out. By the time the police come, the police not gonna lock me up. The courts are closed. By the time we go to court for this, guess what? You won't be in my property. I don't know where you're going to go. So even with the guy that turned off the gas and the electricity, and I am not condoning or recommending anybody do anything illegal, but what I am saying is some of these landlords are about that life, right? That's all I'm gonna say right there. Gas is being cut off, electricity. Somebody commented on my post. They said they just stopped paying the water bill at their property until the city turned the water off because the tenant wasn't paying the rent. These landlords, you especially when you have a decent landlord that takes care of the property, any problem we had at my property, I had somebody coming to look at it and take care of it almost immediately. I'll never forget, because my aunt was staying with me, so she got up to get ready to go to work, and she texted me and said there was no hot water. And I'm like, what? So I get up, and sure enough, there was no hot water. Go in the basement. The hot water tank had busted. By the end of the day, and I reached out to my tenants to let them know, hey, the hot water tank has busted. I've called a contractor to take care of this. By the end of the day, there was a new hot water tank installed. Right. One of my tenants' pipes froze in the wintertime. They weren't getting any water. This took a couple of days because they tried to unfreeze the pipes and unthaw them. It took a little bit more work to get done, but I immediately called and had somebody out there. So when you're decent to your tenants, hopefully they'll be decent with you and communicate. Everybody knows what's going on, and some people haven't got paid. But to Tyree's point too, and a lot of people, and it's not to shame anybody. I don't know why people feel shame, right? Now I'm going to talk about my grandma, not in a negative light, but my grandma was like, I did what I had to do with what I had. I knew how to manage money. You need a place to stay. Pay your rent. Rent, light, gas bill. You can get on a bus. You don't need the car necessarily, right? Pay your rent. But some of these landlords, these Chicago landlords, not gonna play with y'all. I don't know about Detroit and other cities, but in Chicago, some of them not gonna play. I cannot wait. I'm just gonna watch Chicago Scanner because it's funny to me. And no, it's not a somebody comments and then they took it back talking about it sounds like a snitch site. No, it actually, they tweet what goes across the police scanners in Chicago, right? So if you want some entertainment, I will tell you, crime is not down. They is robbing and doing all type of stuff on the north side. But these Chicago landlords are not playing. Some of them are about that life, and if you think you about that life too, y'all gonna figure out who really is, right? But you know, you come home and your doors are missing, or your lights are off, your gas is off, the hot water tank is gone, you know, your food is going to go bad in the refrigerator. Now you can't cook for the kids, and you call 911, but the courts are closed.
It's a mess out there, ain't it?
It's a mess, Grandma. I would advise communicating with your landlord in a calm and courteous manner and figuring out how you all can work together, because people are calling a landlord saying that they can't pay their rent and the landlord is coming to move them out or turning off their utilities, which as a real estate professional I know is illegal. However, the police got to catch up with them first, and you still ain't got no place to stay. I'm paying in case I have a real emergency. Right, it's like people who can pay should pay. Emergency funds are a necessity. People are realizing it's not an option, it's a necessity. It definitely is a necessity. And also, y'all see they sabotage my life. Multiple different income streams, right? Like if you, one of the ladies that does my hair, she bakes well, so she started baking cookies and baking cake. Somebody was calling me on Facebook. She started baking cookies and baking cakes and selling them in a salon, right? Hey, Javon, we ain't playing about our rent. Not playing, period. Because I know as a landlord, I want my money. I want my money. And I want my money on time.
Yeah, once we wanted to, I sold that I had because they were not couldn't help.
Right, my grandma was a landlord. Her auntie left her a house. I want my money. When something break, you want it fixed. I want my money. And then you all are going to sit up and not pay your rent. And I need to talk to these owners too. Some of you all thinking you're not going to pay your mortgage. Some of those lenders want their money in full.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be a whole nother did she? That's gonna be a whole nother my grandma been sitting down here. She did a little exercise. I told her it was nice out so she could get outside. Her apartment complex, she usually walks around the floor that she lives on, so I'm glad that she's here able to go in the backyard. But no, these landlords aren't paying about their money. They are not playing. Run them their money. Javon said in the past, I have bypassed the courts and called my 4 brothers to move people. Shit, clean the hell out. Listen, we talked about this. So, on Twitter, I haven't been on Twitter in a while, but hashtag Chicago Scanner is hilarious. First thing I saw today, caller said their landlord is moving their stuff out. Tyree said the same thing. I will come move your stuff out. Play with these Chicago landlords if you want to. You will come home, doors will change, all your stuff will be outside, right? The goal is to keep a place to stay. Or like the landlord who yesterday, and it's hilarious to me, the man said, I called my landlord and told him I wasn't going to pay my rent, and they turned off my lights and gas. Yeah, you sleeping there with no lights and gas on. Act like you don't want to pay me my money. Pay your rent. You signed this lease agreement. Pay your rent. If you're going to be late, communicate. If you something came up, communicate. It's not saying the landlord isn't going to charge you a late fee. I'm still slapping a 5-day notice on your door because I'm not. Time is of the essence. There are professional renters out there. So even though you communicated with me, you're still going to get a 5-day notice to understand that I'm serious and about my business as a landlord. And some of these landlords, I remember one of my cousins was a landlord and the tenants was like, we not going to do this, that, or the other. It was kind of like Javon said. They pulled up like either you going to get down or lay down, but this is how it's going to go. And today, you and your stuff, you can walk out on your own 2 feet. You know, I'm not condoning anything. I'm just saying. You can walk out on your own 2 feet of your own accord. We got a truck out here to put your stuff in. You can take it wherever you want to take it. But you cannot stay here. You won't stay here and not pay rent. People don't care. That's the person on my post yesterday was like, but that's illegal. Some landlords... Somebody said, of course, because landlords can be fined. But we have to understand, I will take the fine now, knowing that you are in a place that you have not paid rent for, that has no lights, no electricity, and no water. That's how some people are. People are about that life. Some people are... Communicate well in advance. Christy said the sad part is some of the ones that are talking about not paying rent are the same ones trying to find a hairstylist or a nail tech or a barber that's still working. This is not a game. People have livelihood and properties to protect. They still have to pay their bills. Right. And what do you need your hair done? Where are you going? You need your haircut. Where are you going? You need your nails done. Where are you going? I just read something. This lady showed up at the nail shop yesterday and was confused when the lady told her it was closed. And she was like, well, I thought it was okay because it's one at a time and I work at a hospital, so I'm around coronavirus patients every day. Ma'am, and you want to come to the nail shop? People crazy. Yasa said, not proud of it, but I caught a case because I got my tenant out myself. She kept missing the court dates, telling me she wasn't leaving. I got her ASS out, went to jail and got a record. But you got her out though, right? But you got her out. Understand. And when I met Yasa, you know, and some people, y'all look, she's a woman, clearly, right? Average build, professional, executive, looks very calm, cool, and collective. You all have to do not underestimate your Chicago landlords. I can't speak for no other city. Do not underestimate a Chicago landlord that was born and raised in the inner city of Chicago. They are not playing with you. If they are the calm, quiet, polite one, best believe they have some sisters, brothers, cousins, uncles who are not. Not saying it's the right thing to do, but tenants will try you. Tenants will really try you to the point that, like Yasa said, I'm not proud of it, but in the words of Tupac, I ain't no killer, but don't push me, right? Get down or lay down. That's it. Hey girl, how you doing? Are you speaking about those who have not paid in 3 months? Hey Melody. So 3 months, Jesus. No, I started off, I've been on Chicago Scanner. So there was a tenant that told his landlord he wasn't going to pay his rent, and the landlord turned the lights and gas off. I'm not saying this is due to what's going on right now, but this just happened yesterday, right? And then today another tenant posted that his landlord is moving his stuff out because they've said that tenants don't have to pay their rent. That's not what they said. They are working with people. Let me put, no, they didn't say that. If people need rental assistance, they need to do what they need to do, right? Tenants think that Lori Lightfoot said they don't have to pay their rent. On top of that, the courts are closed, so no tenants can be evicted within the next 90 days. So some tenants who are professional, shysters, grimy, their mind just works differently, they're looking at this as an opportunity. And they landlord saying, you've mistaken me. You don't understand I am redeemed. However, I can go back, right? Some of the landlords like, I could go back real quick. I can switch it up. Like, ooh. So, it's going to be interesting. If you can pay your rent, pay your rent. Leah says she paid hers. Yes. These comments have me cracking up. You all are the landlords who care about the property. These slumlords on the other hand. And that's the thing, especially if your property is clean, is decent. When you call your landlord, the landlord responds and tries to fix things. Communicate with them. I mentioned that earlier. Communicate with them. If you cannot pay your rent, most people are living check to check. It's understood. But don't call me and say, you're not going to get your rent money. I signed a petition. I'm a part of this. Tenants not going to pay their rent. I'm from the west side, so okay. That's what you sure? Oh, okay. We gonna see, right? We gonna see. I'm at home. Who said go home? I'm home. I'm in my backyard. Right, 3 whole months. You will not get 3 months. It's true story. My tenant, husband and wife, and I was working in nonprofit too. Funding had been pulled from the nonprofit. The wife worked for a nonprofit, so I think they missed their April rent or they were late. By May, I was like, look, you can move, no harm, no foul. I will not evict you. Leave willingly by this date. We don't have to do an eviction process, right? My baggage. They took that route. Because other than that, it was going to be a little different. That's all I'm going to say. Campbell Sue said 3 months, Jesus. That was like 3 months. You're not going to get 3 months on me. No, baby. Hey, Krista, you will not get 3 months on me. Javon said, if I catch you leaving the house for some toilet paper, all your stuff gonna be outside. And it's not hard to figure out where they going, because most people put their business on Facebook, be out there lurking. You come back, your stuff outside on the front lawn, and all the locks have been changed. And I have security doors. Tiana, hope you're still here. Question, love, is all of your properties rented on Section 8? For me, I had 2 Section 8 tenants and a regular paying tenant, and then I ended up with 2 regular paying tenants and a Section 8 tenant. But my regular paying tenant was my maintenance person, so I had known him, and he works in education, and I did a proration of his rent to get work done, so I never really worried about him. I never worried about my first floor paying rent. Now, my cash paying couple, it was a little shaky, rocky here and there. However, I had a 4 unit. 2 units covered my mortgage, taxes, and insurance, right? So when you purchase a multi-unit, let me get serious for a minute. When you purchase a multi-unit property, buy it with the mindset, if my tenants don't pay their rent, I still have to pay my mortgage. Hey, Crystal, right? Buy it with the mindset, if my tenants don't pay their rent, I still have to pay my mortgage. Can I afford this mortgage? When I bought my 4 unit, none of the unit, 1 unit was rented. 1 of the tenants was being evicted. The other 2 were vacant. So you buy it with the mindset, I can cover this mortgage. And that's what's going on with a lot of landlords. Some of these landlords are over leveraged. Yes, ideally the tenant will pay the rent. Now, I love Section 8. Any Section 8 landlord, any and every Section 8 landlord got their deposit last month. I posted one of my clients purchased a 3-unit last year. Every unit has a Section 8 tenant. She texts me like, I'm so glad. Some of these landlords are stressed out. I'm good. People can feel how they want to feel about Section 8, say this, that, or the other. But most of those landlords are not facing, even if the tenant pays a portion of the rent. Usually Section 8 is paying the lion's share. And then if a tenant pays a portion of the rent and they lose their income, all they have to do is call Section 8 and let them know that they've lost their income, and Section 8 readjusts and will pay their entire rent for them, right? They do not understand we have bills as well. And I'm going to do a separate live about this, but if a landlord isn't paying their mortgage, that means that the money isn't going for the property taxes, which means that money isn't going for the insurance. So some of these people that are not going to pay their mortgage still have to think about escrow. You still have to pay if your property insurance and taxes are in the escrow, it comes out of that mortgage payment. If you're not making that payment, your escrow is going to be short, and then you're going to be looking crazy when somebody buy your property for the taxes. Well, not buy, but in Chicago they get in the different lien positions. Alex says you're going to get it when I get it. Okay, you're going to get some lights and some gas back when the landlord gets it. Girl, because people at home on the corona, not all at one time. People at home on the corona. People at home because of the corona. And this landlord thing is hot. It's hot. But Chicago landlords, let me get my folks on the pull up. Chicago landlords not playing. They are not playing. Laugh out loud. Not you. I was speaking about the lady that went to the nail shop. That was you, Kiana. And do you own a nail shop? Because that was crazy. I was like, girl, everything is closed. Go soak them nails off. Sidebar. Everybody I catch at the you pick the color place, y'all, whatever. I paid my rent, but let him know he was $200 short. I said Jesus can work it out in 2 weeks. Yeah, all right. Once you get through praying to Jesus, you better figure out how to get him out $200. And a smart landlord. Some landlords are not even going to accept partial payments, because if you accept the partial payment, that slows down the eviction process. However, it is good that you made an attempt to pay something, but it's with the mindset that I can afford the mortgage. This is the realest thing I've heard out. Yeah, buy it with the mindset. Yes, and as an agent, I promote multi-unit first, but also buy it thinking I'm responsible for this whole mortgage, because at the end of the day you are responsible for the mortgage, and it is your credit that's on the line. But yeah, these Chicago landlords, and my client, she's on here, I won't say no names. The dude she dating, they didn't pay they don't want to pay their, oh okay, that's how they, oh okay. But yes, though, I'm Jamesia Jonay, y'all. I'm going to let y'all go. I've soaked up the sun. The sun is leaving me now. It's not as bright, but it feels amazing out. I'm only in my backyard. Hey, Janice, how you doing? Hey, Adina. I'm only in my backyard, but these Chicago landlords are a different breed. Many of them. Male or female. If you all go look at Yasa's profile, I promise you, you would not think this woman caught a case because her tenant was playing about paying the rent. Then she took us to eviction court, and the tenant wasn't showing up to eviction court. So that means that the eviction process is being drawn out. And a lot of landlords, it's not legal. They will take matters into their own hands, though, and deal with the legality after you're out of their place and they have re-rented it. Right? So think about that. Pay your rent if you can. Pay your mortgage if you can. Call your landlord. Call your creditors. Work something out. But don't get too froggy, because somebody will jump. Right? You all have a great one. Okay, Javon, I'll talk to you later.